Do you need activities for your class that require zero preparation? I've written a book with 100 no prep classroom activities. In this video, I will show you the book and some of the activities that you can use in your class. If you want the book, it's in the description below. Hi, I'm Eric, the creator of the Etiquette English Teachers channel. On this channel, I share classroom management tips as well as activities and resources. We've also got a Patreon membership group where you can get weekly resources and lesson plans. Now, let me show you the 100 No Prep Classroom Activities book. Okay, here we go. This is what the book looks like. Here are all the activities, the first 25. The first one is Simon Says, and it gives some examples of Simon Says games that you can play. So Simon Says touch your nose, touch your ears, rub your head, turn around, jump around. You can teach them basic actions, everyday tasks. You can ask them to pretend to be something or someone. Let them try and show their emotions. Add adjectives, objects, add possessives. Use colors, numbers, animals, sounds, or the alphabet. I've got a list here of some ideas for Simon Says that you can use for number 1. The second activity is class energizers, where students can move around a bit more. So have 2 slips of paper with A or B on it. The students write their names on either A or B. You put all the A's into one basket and the B's into another. Everybody picks a name, and then secretly they should try and get as close to their name as possible. The students move around class and try and get as close as possible to their name, and ask them not to run around. The wiggle game asks the students to wiggle, starting with their fingers, hands, wrists, arms, shoulders, chest, waist, and legs. It's a good way for them to relax and enjoy class. There are other energizers like the litter box game, where they have to pick up paper with a partner. The banana game, where students sit in a circle, one student sits in the middle, and the students on the have to move an object behind and try and hide it from the person in the middle, so the person in the middle can close their eyes, and then they have to try and find who has the banana. They guess, and then if they guess right, that student wins. You can also do yoga poses with your students. That's also a good idea. The third activity is miming, similar to charades, if you want the class to be a bit more quiet, so they can mime a sport. Or you can ask them to mime a lie. You say, okay, you have to lie. So for example, play baseball, and then they play tennis or do something else. Pass on. One student comes to you, and then you secretly hand them something. It could be a smelly sock or a bird or dog, obviously not a real one. And then they have to go and pass it on to other members in their class. And then the class can guess what it is. Activity 4 is a questions board game. Very simple. Print it out, give it to a group of students, 3 to 5 usually, and they have to ask each other a question followed by a follow-up question. So, for example, you have to ask about your teacher. Who was your favorite teacher? When is the last time you saw your teacher? Something like that. Categories. Here is a list of categories. Write 6 of them on the board, and then give the students a letter. Let's say C. Now they have to write out words for that category. So a boy's name, Carl. Now, if each group picks the same word, they don't get a point. They only get points for unique answers. Countdown. Students have to count down from 20 to 1. Only one person at a time can say a number. They can say numbers in succession. But if 2 students say a number at the same time, they have to restart. A variation is Baskin Robbins. Students have to count to 31, but they don't want to be the person to say 31. So they can sit in a circle and they start counting, but they can count 1, 2, or 3 at a time. So they can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the last person to say 31 loses. Taboo. This is a fun game where students have to explain a word to a partner, but they can't use some of the taboo words. I've made a list of 50 taboo words, so if they have to explain dog, they can say these words. Give a student one of these words and they have to explain it to their team without using the taboo words. What's different is a fun activity. Ask two teams of students to line up. One team looks away and then the other team has to change things about them, about their clothing. They can stand in different places, and then the other team turns around and guesses all the things that are different from the other team. Dinner party is a good game. Let the students write a list of 10 celebrities that they know or famous people, and then show them this table. And they have to place the celebrities at a different spot, and they have to explain why they put the celebrities next to each other or far away from each other. Small talk is a no prep activity. Put the students in pairs and each pair with another pair. One pair has to pick a topic for the other pair to talk about for 1 minute. And then once that's done, this pair has to pick a topic for this pair to talk about for 1 minute. Name 10 is an easy game. You give the students a category and they have to name 10 things from that category. For example, types of animals, countries in Asia. I made a list of some categories you can use. Draw a monster. Ask the students to draw a monster together. What should it look like? How many eyes? How many ears? Should it be tall, short? Teacher's picture is a fun game where the teacher tells two students to leave the class and then draws a picture on the board and then takes a photo, asks the other students to remember what it looks like, erases it, the two students come back, and then two teams have to explain to the two other students that didn't see it what it looks like, and they have to draw the picture you made. Here are some word games. Ask students to think of the longest word. So let's say you write 8 different letters on the board. You can ask students to pick either a vowel or a consonant, write random letters on the board, and then they have to create either the longest word, or they can make words from a word. So let's say teach, tire, exhausted, apricot, church, host. You can also do word ladders, where students have to try and make a new word from an old word. For example, you have to change cat into dog, cat, cot, dot, and dog. Here are some other examples you can use. Complaining. Students have to create a conversation with a partner on some kind of complaint. So for example, something about the news, people who cut in line, traffic, and that's a good way for them to create a dialogue. Disappearing words. Write down a phrase on the board and then the students have to memorize it. Start erasing some of the letters and see how many words out of the phrase the students can remember. Debates. Students can prepare for debates. Here are some fun debate topics. Cats versus dogs. Which make better pets? Chocolate versus vanilla. School uniforms. Pizza topics. Books versus movies. Should kids have a bedtime? You can create a classroom scavenger hunt. So you can ask students to hunt for words in books. Hunt for hidden words. So you can hide some hidden words around the classroom and the students have to try and spot them. Hunt for items. Put some items in your classroom and ask the students to walk around and try and find out where all the items are. Fortunately, unfortunately. Start a story. Students have to create a positive outcome, fortunately, and directly after that, unfortunately, something bad that happened. So say, for example, today I woke up early. Unfortunately, I hurt my foot while standing up. Fortunately, it wasn't a school day. Unfortunately, I still had chores to do. Let's see how long the students can go. A to Z game. Give the students a category and they have to try and list words about that category A to Z. You can use animals, jobs, celebrities, foods, countries, movies, musical instruments. See how many words the students can find out of the alphabet. Would you rather? This is a very simple exercise where students have to say whether they would like one thing or the other, and you can ask them to either raise their hands, yes or no, or they can go and stand on different sides of the classroom. So for example, salty or sweet, Captain America or Iron Man. The students can move around or they can raise their hands. Shiratori is a popular Japanese game where if you say a word, the next person has to say a word starting with the last letter of the word you said. So let's say I say bed, they say dog, and then that ends on G. So game starts with a E. Elephant, time. It goes on and on, see how long the students can go, but they can't use the same word twice. Dictogloss is a popular game in school where the teacher tells the students a story. They have to try and remember it and retell it to someone else. See how accurate they are when retelling the story. The Essentials is a really fun game. Students have to think of what essential items you need when you do something. So say for example you have to pack your suitcase for a 3-day trip. What do you need? What are the essentials? What are the essentials for a fridge, a picnic, going on a date, going for a job interview? So if it's a situation like a job interview, you have to dress formal, take a resume, take a notepad, arrive early, be polite, answer questions confidently, smile. It's a deal. Students have to negotiate things. So they have to create a conversation with someone else, negotiating a deal. Between parents and students, they can talk about homework or dinner or getting pocket money. Between boyfriends and girlfriends, for all the students, they can talk about classroom behavior or classroom rules. Employers, employees, they can talk about politics if they're more advanced. Things in common. Pair students up and they have to find out interesting things they have in common. Maybe places they've been to before, experiences they've had. They both have 2 brothers, or they both have blonde hair, or they both like the color pink. Conversation starters. Here is a list of conversation starters that you can print out, give your students, and they can practice with one another. You can use all these great conversation starters, and then afterwards check in with your students to find out what they've learned about one another.